Hello and praise the Lord God, all the earth. Praise his holy name. This is your sister Adrea. Today we're going to talk about preparation, being prepared. What does that look like? Because we don't know. We know what the Lord is promising us. We know what the Lord is saying that the Christians are going to go through. And so how should we prepare for this? What should our mindsets be? What should we talked last time about responses when being tempted. We need to be in a place in our lives where we are exercising daily. Jesus says to watch, to pray and watch. And those that are watching, when Jesus comes, those are the ones who are gonna hold the faith. Those are the ones that are gonna stand firm on the faith and on the standards of God. And so he tells us to wait. He tells us to occupy while we're waiting. And that occupying is preparation. It is preparing for him. So Jesus also talks about there being 5 wise virgins and 5 foolish virgins. And the 5 wise, they had enough oil to withstand the journey. They had enough oil to be able to watch the whole time, wait and watch the whole time and not miss his coming. They had enough to make it into the door, because once you pass through that door, you don't need oil anymore. You're in that door. You've made it. You've won. And it talks about the 5 foolish who did not prepare. They did not think ahead. They did not believe that they needed to have more or just to make sure that they had extra for the journey. They made certain decisions that did not allow them to accumulate enough oil, enough power, enough grace, enough wisdom, enough understanding. You see this because they are considered the 5 foolish virgins. So we need to prepare on this journey for the coming of Jesus. We prepare our temples for the coming of Christ. We prepare, we fill our barns. We fill our barns to make sure that we don't just run through or in this race weary, tired, worn down, thirsty, dry. We enter in all the way to the finish line very strong and confident and worthy. So we're still in Genesis. We're looking at the lives of the father, the life of the father of faith and those that were in his close proximity. And we see those who waited and who prepared for, prepared for being available for the Lord and for the call of the Lord. And then we see those who were not available and in the process lost certain things or, made certain decisions that, weren't pure, that weren't godly, that weren't of his will. And so preparing ourselves, a form of preparing, a way that we prepare is by making sure we're being consistent in our daily duties. Preparation or consistency doesn't just prepare you in this life, but it also paves the way of the path. It also it brings favor. It allows you to have favor through your consistency. It allows you to be able to, those that are around you, they don't question you. They don't make it hard for you to obtain what you need for your journey. They don't make it hard, or they don't make it hard in that they don't withhold from you or restrain you, if you will, from continuing this journey. So I want to read about that because that could probably be a little confusing. Your consistency, your life reveals to others who you are and what you are about. So with that, okay, so for instance, let's say every Tuesday night, you love to go and get tacos. Taco Tuesday is your deal. And everyone that knows you knows that doesn't matter what you're doing or what you have or where you're going. They know on Tuesdays you are going to be at a taco stand somewhere and getting tacos. So because they know this, your birthday comes or some event comes, something happens, and they know you. They know, oh, this person loves Taco Tuesday. Let me give them a gift card to get some tacos at this one place that I know. Let me give them, let me make them some tacos. Hey, don't go anywhere. I got tacos for you, sister, brother. You love tacos. It's Tuesday, girl. I got you. I was thinking about you. I made this for you. So your consistency in that is your body, your physical being is going to be preparing itself to receive tacos because they know that in 7 more days or 6 more days, you're going to come around and feed it tacos. So they're going to wait for the lettuce. They're going to wait for the cheese or prepare themselves for the lettuce and for the cheese. They're going to prepare yourself for the taco seasonings. They know that you're feed it with cumin. I think it's cumin, not curry, cumin. And they know you're going to give it onions this day, tomatoes this day. It prepares itself. It doesn't necessarily know that it's a Tuesday, but it knows this cycle. It is going to be expecting on this cycle that you're going to give it this. And that is how the world around you is going to respond to your consistency. That is how the world is going to respond to you because of your diligence in being prepared for whatever the Lord has for you, whatever the Lord commands for you. So, being in the kingdom, you go to church every Sunday. People know, don't message her, don't text her. Oh, it's this time and in between this time and this time, she's at church. So that preparation makes way for that consistency and that preparation makes way for your path to be much smoother, for you to be able to obtain what you need on your journey because your world has opened up to your consistency. Your world is now making room for you to be consistent in your preparation for God. So that is one way of preparing, is consistency. Opening doors because of your faithfulness in these areas, which allow you to better prepare. So we're in Genesis, and we're still learning about Abraham and his ways. His ways in this situation has made it easy for people to trust him. It's made it easy for people it's made it easy for him to obtain what he needed in this situation. And that was when the Lord commanded him to go and sacrifice his son Isaac to him. So because we're going to read a little bit here. We're in Genesis 22 and let's see. Let's start at verse 3. And Abraham arose up, or this is after the Lord commanded him, Abraham, go and You know what? Let's just go ahead and read it. Might as well. Let's eat it again. Repetition deepens the impact, which is also it's consistency. So repetition is a form of consistency, which also is a great asset to preparation. So verse 20, we're in chapter 22, verse 1. And it came to pass after these things that God did tempt Abraham and said unto him, Abraham. And he said, Behold, here I am. And he said, Take now thy son, thine only son Isaac, whom thou lovest, and get thee into the land of Moriah, and offer him there for a burnt offering upon one of the mountains, which I will tell thee of. And Abraham rose up early in the morning and saddled his ass and took 2 of his young men with him and Isaac his son, and clave the wood for the burnt offering, and rose up and went unto the place of which God had told him. Verse 4. And on the 3rd day, Abraham lifted up his eyes and saw the place afar off. So, that's where I'm supposed to go. And Abraham said unto his young men, abide here with the ass, and I and the lad will go yonder and worship and come again to you. And Abraham took the wood of the burnt offering and laid it upon Isaac his son, and he took the fire in his hand and a knife, and they went both of them together. So as you can see here, with this scenario where Abraham tells his servants, hey, stay here, I and the lad, we're going to go and sacrifice. This is something that they're used to seeing Abraham do. This is something that, it's not even a question. Oh, they're going to go and worship the Lord. They're going to go and sacrifice. They did not pay attention to the fact that they did not have an animal to sacrifice. But they're used to Abraham. They're used to his way, his manner, and they don't get in the way. They don't. They help him obtain all of what he needs to be able to obey God. So they help him prepare the way to obey the Lord. They don't know the fullness of it, but they know this man, which allows them to be able to obey, to be able to serve, to be able to give. Abraham, because of his consistency, his faithfulness in obeying God and doing the will of God, has paved the way for better preparation. Okay, so in this situation here, we know that this is a big deal that, God has said, go and sacrifice your son for me. Go and sacrifice your son for me. So him preparing for, to do this, difficult task, to obey this difficult commandment. So with him doing this, he doesn't have to worry about the physical, if you will. He has people who are assisting him, who help him, people who are willing to give for him. He just needs to keep his mind right. So he doesn't have to worry about where he's going to get the wood, or where he's going to get the fire, or how he's going to get this. He doesn't have to worry about, needing a donkey or needing, assistance. He doesn't have to worry about that. His life has given him those things for him to be able to make tough decisions, to fulfill tough commandments. So we think about the wise and the foolish virgins. There were things that the wise women did, and one is consistency. They prepared themselves by being consistent. They prepared themselves by, trying to think 2 steps ahead. Now, if I give this up here, I'm going to be hungry there. Or if I eat this now, or if I have this now, I'm going to need something like this later on. Or if I don't have this conversation with this sister now, no telling what she's going to give me now that I will need a week from now. But I'm tired. I don't want to do this. I don't want to talk. I don't feel like doing this or that. So being consistent and available allows you to obtain what you need, which is preparation for the journey, preparation for the commands of God, the willingness of God, the favor of God. So this is what we're preparing for. We're not preparing just for the kingdom of heaven to come. We're preparing to be beings for God, to be accessible for God or available for God when he gives us commands or when he needs us to do certain things. So he calls Abraham, and what does he say? Behold, here am I. So where else would Abraham have been that would not allow him to be able to say, behold, here I am? God knows where Abraham is going to be. God understands that Abraham, he knows his moves. His moves are consistent. So the young men, they don't give Abraham a hard time. They don't question Abraham. This is normal. Oh, he wants to go and worship and sacrifice here. Okay, let's go and do this here. This is nothing out of the ordinary. And this allows Abraham to deal with what's happening in the mind. Because this 3-day journey is definitely pulling. You know, he's got both the little devil right here and the little angel here. Or his soul here. Or his spirit man here. So we got the devil here and his spirit man here. And the devil is telling him, you know, you could just escape with him now. No one has to know. You know, you could just run away now. No one has to know. Sarah doesn't know. No one has to know. Or, you know, in the middle of the night, you could just take them. You can run, you know, as if God can't see you. That's something that we see Noah did. Or not Noah, Jonah. Jonah did. Then you have this other end. No, he's faithful. We read in the New Testament what Abraham was telling himself to be able to stand fast on the commandment of God. So preparing for the Lord is a great part of our walk. Understanding, being circumspect in our walk gives us this ability to prepare. We consider what is worth this or not. So Jesus Christ says to count the cost before wanting to be one of his servants, or disciples. Whenever you have learned that, you know, there's these requirements of Jesus Christ, you know, hey, I don't know where I'm going to lay my head. Or, hey, go and give away all your stuff, sell it, and come serve me. Give the money to the poor, come serve me. Hey, get rid of that, or obtain that, or have that, lose that, do this, do that. You know, God is saying that we're going to have these different commands, that we're going to, that our lives are going to be sacrificial. So count the cost, prepare yourself. If this is what you want, prepare yourself to lose so much of what you've obtained with your own 2 hands. So we're going to keep reading here. Hold on. These acts here of taking the wood, claving the wood, getting the asses, the fire in his hand, the knife in his hand, these are all decisions that Abraham is making. So he has their decisions. There are steps towards fulfilling the commandment of God. So I need to go and sacrifice my son. What things do I need for a sacrifice? So he gets the wood, he gets the fire, he gets the knife, and he gets the sacrifice. And these are decisions. So instead of, you know, getting a knife, he could have gotten something else, you know, that was not in preparation for commanding God. So these different items that he's obtained are decisions that he is making every step along the way of fulfilling the commandment. And so we're in 22 verse 9. And they came to the place which God had told him of, and Abraham built an altar there and laid the wood in order and bound Isaac his son and laid him on the altar upon the wood. And Abraham stretched forth his hand and took the knife to slay his son. So there's much that Abraham had to learn and obtain in his walk with the Lord to be able to want to fulfill this commandment. There is definitely a collection, if you will. He has a collection shelf full of testimonies and faith with the Lord. Not just a collection of testimonies of faith, but also of fear, of reverence of God. There's a mutual understanding that Abraham has with the Lord. And that understanding is that Abraham is the created and God is the creator. And that Abraham is just a speck in the earth and that God controls everything. that the whole world is in the hand of the living God. So, sanctification and deliverance in the journey with God is also a part of preparation. Staying in the presence of God so that he burns out, washes out, cuts out, digs out, scrapes off doubt, fear, hate, discouragement, pride, and lust. Those are acts of preparing yourself to do the will of God, to fulfill the commandment of God on your life. Going through deliverance, purging out that which is within you that hinders you from obeying God, that hinders you from fearing him, because it's pride that causes man to not fear God. So God says that he resists the proud. Like, you're going to be proud or you're going to stay there. You're going to stay in that position. I'm going to move myself away from you because you do not believe, because you will not obey. So you will not have my goodness. You will not have the life that I bring to my children, to those that are humble. You will not obtain the earth. So sanctification and deliverance is a part of preparation. We know in Abraham's life that he called on the name of God, that he stayed in the presence of God, that he had a secret place, that he had a separate tent where he worshiped and sought the face of the Lord, where he prayed and sought the face of the Lord. And with that is sanctification. Being in his presence provides sanctification, deliverance, restoration, revelation, understanding, wisdom, knowledge, just from being in his presence, just from seeking his face, worshiping him. That brings you to a point of preparing for God. That is a part of the preparation process. So Abraham had to be in the presence of God, going through sanctification and deliverance to be this person that is able to fulfill a task like this. Though God does not command us to sacrifice our children, to sacrifice animals anymore, he does require that we crucify ourselves. He does require that we die to ourselves, die to self-will, die to comfort and familiarity, die to your own decisions. He does require that. And every level that we grow with the Lord, he is going to require that we make more difficult, strenuous decisions. And the reason why I say they're difficult and strenuous is because it will come against our own flesh, our own desires, our own perspective and perception. It's going to come against our comfortability and what we are familiar with. So that's why I say it's strenuous and difficult and challenging. It's only because it's going to come against our human nature, our culture, what we were shaped into, brought up into. The commands of God with us are always, 9 times out of 10, they are going to come with, they're going to require you to do something that you will not want to do. So in between those times of obtaining commandments from the Lord, we are preparing ourselves by staying in the presence of God, going through sanctification, going through deliverance, and by consistency. So Abraham is an example. He is the father of faith, and we're going to read about the promise that God gives him here in just a moment. He is the example. Why? Not because we're going to sacrifice our kids, but he is the example of someone who was ready, who has prepared himself to be ready for ready to fulfill the commandments that are going to come against his nature. And when we see what Abraham did and how he overcame, we see what God says. So let's keep reading. We see what God gives. Let's keep reading. So verse 10, and Abraham stretched forth his hands and took the knife to slay his son. And the angel of the Lord called unto him out of heaven and said, Abraham, Abraham. And he said, Here am I. And he said, Lay not thine hand upon the lad, neither do thou anything unto him. For now I know that thou fearest God, seeing thou hast not withheld thy son, thine only son, from me. So isn't that an amazing test? We're going to keep reading here just a moment. Verse 13, and Abraham lifted up his eyes and looked, and behold, behind him a ram caught in a thicket by his horns. And Abraham went and took the ram and offered him up for a burnt offering in the stead of his son. And Abraham called the name of that place Jehovah Jireh, as it is said to this day, in the mount of the Lord it shall be. So what kind of people do we, and we're going to read just a little bit more here, but what kind of people do we need to be to walk on water? So we look at Peter's life. And what prepared Peter? What is another form of preparation? Love. Love prepared Peter to be able to trust Jesus enough to walk on water. So his life, his walk with Jesus Christ and him hearing the teachings and watching the miracles and the increase of love in Peter's heart allowed him to be prepared for, when seeing Jesus walk on water, to immediately say, hey, if this is you, because I love you, I'm going to do what you do. He walked on water. And we see also with Peter's life where he lacked in preparation, and that was when commanded to pray lest he fall for temptation, which he did. He did not pray though. He did not obey Jesus in that moment. He fell asleep. So Jesus was also showing him, yes, your love and your zeal for me is amazing, but there is more preparation that you're going to need to go through in different areas of your being outside of just love. So you need to pray. You need to be in the presence. This is where you lacked that did not emulate Abraham. This is the part that you did not emulate, that you dismissed from your father Abraham. Abraham stayed in the presence of God and he prayed. Peter lacked prayer in this moment, which caused him to sin, which caused him to deny God, which is a sin. And he denied Christ. But you have him in this other area where he is, hey, I'm ready to die for you. I'm ready to walk on water with you. But when it came to the fear of man, which he needed to be delivered and sanctified of, which is what prayer would have done, because he feared man and he did not take the steps necessary to prepare him for the faces, to prepare him to stand before the faces of men and stand firm on the word of God. And that was prayer. So we must prepare in all areas: love, sanctification, deliverance, consistency. These are key components that allow us to be available for when God comes and wants to prick in these different areas, to see, are you going to obey me now? To see, are you going to give a fresh yes now? To see, are you going to fall into the same mindset? To see, are you going to be afraid and do what you used to do? So we need to be sanctified and delivered in order to be able to be properly prepared for God and his commandments and his will over our lives. Oh, let's keep reading before we go here. So 13 and So we're in 14. And Abraham called the name of that place Jehovah Jireh, as it is said to this day, in the mount of the Lord it shall be seen. Verse 15. And the angel of the Lord called unto Abraham out of heaven the second time. So it calls out to him again. And he says, by myself have I sworn, saith the Lord. For because thou hast done this thing, and hast not withheld thy son, thine only son, that in blessing I will bless thee, and in multiplying I will multiply thy seed as the stars of the heaven, and as the sand which is upon the seashore. And thy seed shall possess the gate of his enemies. And in thy seed shall all the nations of the earth be blessed, because thou hast obeyed my voice. So Abraham returned unto his young men, and they rose up and went together to Beersheba, and Abraham dwelt at Beersheba. So one of the things that I do want to point out again, and he says in verse 16, he says, and said, by myself have I sworn, saith the Lord. This is the highest of the highest blessings. I'm swearing by myself. And I don't deny myself. I'm God. I am God. I don't deny myself. I do not lower my standards. I do not budge. I do not move. I do what I want. But I'm going to swear by myself. This is him putting himself. Abraham, you have me. You will have me, and the promise that I fulfill, I will make sure that I will give, because you've obeyed my voice. We have to prepare to obey the voice of God. And he said, by myself have I sworn. No one else is involved in this. You have the highest of the highest. Myself. This is me, myself. It's not through this person or through this. This is literally Abraham and God. Because you have obeyed my voice. I'm going to stop here. I'm going to stop here. Prepare yourself to obey God's voice at every level. At every level. And be consistent in seeking his face, because it's his presence that is going to make you. And we could just review Abraham's life up to this point again and again and again and again. The walk, the experience, your life should look like this. There are going to be times in your life where it may seem mundane. Do not stop. And there's going to be times in your life where you are tested in many ways to veer off the path, to defend yourself, to give into offense, to give into fear, to give into lust, to give into hate, jealousy, just to give into envy. And you should be preparing yourself to deny yourself in those areas so that you can obey. This is an amazing promise that God has given Abraham. And with us in the new covenant, in the blood of Jesus, God is promising us so much more. So seek his face and prepare yourself for God.